And we are live with you right now here at the newsroom, Islam Newsroom, with the news we need when we need it from the Islamic perspective. I'm Yusuf Estes, and I wanted to talk to all of us tonight about something very important. Whether you're a Christian, a Jew, or a Muslim, I invite you to watch closely and listen attentively to what we're going to be talking about tonight. And the reason I say this is because the things that many of our scholars have predicted seem to be unfolding right in front of our eyes today. I'm going to immediately go right to the newsroom because the stories are big and they're happening right now. There's several very important ones, and I want to call your attention to these because I feel that this is something that if we don't pay attention to it, we're going to be real sorry before very long. I want to begin by talking about speech. The First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, called the Bill of Rights, gives each and every one of us as American citizens the right to free speech, the right to our religion, and the right to gather collectively together, of course for peaceful purposes, but we have these rights. And what we're seeing in front of our eyes again and again and again is something wrong somewhere with somebody, because these rights are not being fulfilled. Now, just like when we heard about 9/11, we heard that, well, certain of our rights have to be kind of set aside for a while due to high risk, security, blah, blah, blah. A lot of blah, blah, blah. All of us want to be secure, but not at the risk of giving up all of our rights. That's called being in prison. You can be very secure in a prison. Did you know that? They can put you in lockdown, and you're so secure. But that's not what we want, is it? And I'm saying this because of certain things that have been taking place, not just recently, but over the long haul. We know what was going on in some of these cities and states in Maryland, and Baltimore. You remember that story, Missouri, what happened over there. But that's not exclusive. And then when they get together, and we talked about this, when the thing broke out in Maryland, it was so bad. You remember that. But it showed something just for a second. I looked into it to find out what was really going on. It showed a group of people and it made it look like, now listen to this, had nothing whatsoever to do with anything international. That was a local circumstance that was taking place there. It was all localized. All about someone being killed by a policeman, etc., and the people were demonstrating. All of a sudden, there came out of this a side issue saying that ISIS or Al-Qaeda or somebody is in there recruiting people, they think, or maybe it's possible, blah, 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 but they made an article and made it look as though this was something to do with Islam. And the fact was, there was something about Islam, but they didn't show that. And what it was a group of Muslims there, men, all wearing the same color shirt, who were standing between the protesters and the police to keep the crowd under control on both sides. They had no weapons, no arms, nothing like that, but they were offering their bodies right here, like, you know, like I'm holding up my hands. This is what they were doing. Just telling the people, take it easy, take it easy. Everybody take it easy, keep calm. One shot, one picture, tick, tick. And then that was what they tried to make it look like in the news. And I'm not going to mention which particular agency did this, but it was, I think, very, very wrong to try to twist something that these people were doing for good and make it look like it was something entirely different. We posted a story about that, but let's come to something a lot closer to home, a lot closer to right now. And let's take a look at this. I want you to see what you think about this. The article got a lot of subject going on about it because it wasn't just that what happened as much as the people participating. There was a lady, a Christian lady, by the name of Ms. Davis. Here we go. Kim Davis. If you want to take a shot at, take a look here what we've got. Kim Davis worked for the county clerk's office in Grayson. I think it's, it doesn't say here. Anyway, Grayson, Kentucky. I don't know if that's the county or the city, but she refused. She's a good Christian lady, and according to her understanding of her Bible, she could not justify filling out the paperwork. She's a clerk. She couldn't justify filling out the paperwork for same-sex marriage. She said, this is against the Bible. I can't do that. And they basically told her, you either do it or you're going to go to jail. She's going to go to jail. Number one, listen to this. Number one, it's her religious conviction, according to the Bible. The same Bible that these senators and congressmen and judges all have to swear on that Bible. Well, I guess they could swear on the Quran if they wanted to, or Old Testament, or whatever, but they're supposed to show that commitment like the forefathers of this country did. It's the same Bible. And yeah, anyway, so she didn't want to do that. Not that she didn't want to do her job. She doesn't want to do that job because that, something new, never been done before, and all of a sudden you're asking her to do that, and she said no. Okay? Second thing, she was telling other people about it at work, and she's the county clerk. They arrested her. They put her in jail. Huh? They put her in jail. A Christian lady, because she's believing in Christian values according to what she understands from her Bible, her pastor, and her congregation. Because of that, they put her in jail. And there's some people out there that are willing to stand up for her and say, hey, that's wrong. That ain't right. One of those, we're going to take a look at this, one of those is Senator Ted Cruz from my home state of Texas. That's right. Grew up in Texas. And he came out in full support of Ms. Davis. He went to Carter County. I think that's Grayson, Kentucky anyway. And that's where she was locked up. And he went there to find out what's going on with that. She refused to issue same-sex marriage license. Let me highlight it and let you just see it. There it is right there. Kim Davis, Carter County Clerk, refused issuing the same-sex marriage licenses. Senator Cruz is one of the Republican hopefuls for the presidency of the United States of America. But I don't know after this, they may not have much of a chance because you know how that goes. If you're not with the PC, politically correct, you don't make it very far around here, unfortunately. And this, but I got a big point about this, but let me go forward. Mike Huckabee, okay, also weighed in on this subject, and he went down between him and Senator Cruz, that both of them together, they made some heavy-duty statements. One of the statements that came from Senator Cruz by way of his spokesman, her name is Kim Davis, Catherine Frazier. She says that he supports Kim Davis and will do everything in his power to ensure her situation is resolved and no other Americans who strive to live out their faith or fall victims to religious persecution by the government. Christians, Jews, Muslims, listen up. This is for all of us. Persecution by the government for religious convictions. Now, a lot of us Muslims, we've been thinking about this and concerned about it right along. Because if I go to the airport dressed like I usually do, I'm wearing a long thobe, or let me see, what did I do with, hold on a second. I almost always got that in my pocket. There it is. Sorry for all that noise on my microphone there. There you go. Imagine now, if I put this on and I go to the airport, what's going to happen? And I promise you, it's not going to be just go right on through. No, it's like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. You've been randomly selected. Huh? Randomly. Okay, do you know randomly, Mr. Lee, randomly? You step right over here and meet randomly because you've been randomly selected. Yep. Been there, done that again and again and again and again. I feel more sorry for our sisters, though, because they're wearing hijab, and it's real obvious. Alhamdulillah. Anyway, why? Supposedly, this is all about high security, high risk, blah, blah, blah. And we already heard about the blahs already. I would like for us, you and me, all of us, talking about all of us of faith, to get behind a candidate that really is going to stand up for religious convictions. Now, I'm not saying he has to be a Muslim or a Christian, but at least stand up for the rights of people who do have a belief and enforce our Constitution. Keep in mind, brothers and sisters, listen up. The Constitution does not give you a privilege. It is not a privilege to drive a car in this country. It is not a privilege for us to be able to speak out. It is not a privilege for us to have the religion of choice. These are not privileges, these are our rights, inalienable rights that we have as American citizens. It is our right. And we need to look for candidates that will understand, speak up, and stand firm for those rights. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble. And by the way, I'm not saying any particular candidate. I'm not even sure about it. We got a lot of candidates this year to choose from, but I'm just saying, brothers and sisters, be careful. Be careful of who you choose. Because after 4 years, if we make another, yeah, you know what some of the presidents we've had in the past and where they went and what they did and what they left behind, the messes, okay? But it's not just the president. Congressmen, senators, governors, state senates. We need to be responsible, brothers and sisters, and we need to vote. We need to get behind candidates that are aligned with what we believe. The Constitution of the United States should be a very good example right there. If the person's not in agreement with that, then pass them by. And that's what I'm very afraid of. A lot of our scholars have told us that we've got to be careful these days about that. As soon as one group, any group, starts to suffer because of their religious conviction or for their political beliefs that they want to speak about or gathering together, if they fall under suspicion and then suddenly have to be investigated or incarcerated, for what? I think some of us need to read that Constitution and the Bill of Rights again and understand These are inalienable rights. These are our rights, not privileges. Okay? Let's move on. Tell you what happened. Both candidates, Cruz and Huckabee. Now, Huckabee, he got in on this thing too. And he's former governor of Arkansas. I think y'all know that. They were working to impress the social conservative and evangelical Christians, trying to get support for their votes. Now, Kim Davis' case exposed a strong division between 17 of the Republican candidates of the president. 17, imagine that. We got a lot of people there who want to be president. But it's about, and I'm going to highlight this because this is in the news, belief, faith, and law. The law protects our beliefs and our faiths. So when the law is coming against our belief and faith, we got a problem. We got a very serious problem, and we need to rectify that. We're not talking about demonstrations, we're not talking about causing problems, just who you vote for. That's going to make all the difference. Get behind the candidates that are going to take care of your faith and not, listen carefully, don't go for one who, like, okay, let's take an example. If it's a Muslim and you said, oh, I'll vote for him because he's a Muslim, do not do that. Because if he won't protect the rights of other people, number one, he's not a good candidate for the President of the United States. Number two, he's not a good Muslim either, because good Muslim is supposed to have everybody's welfare in their mind, looking after everybody, the same as the job description of the United States President. Let's move forward. I know some of you are not too interested in this, but some of you are. So the Supreme Court ruling back in June, just a few months ago, sparked a divide over same-sex marriage around the country. Now, this is when we're not talking about a state making a decision or a county making a decision or a city. We're talking about the United States Supreme Court. They came out in favor of same-sex marriage. Now, what does that mean? That means that anybody in the United States, after they say something like that, could fall under some kind of persecution. So they're making the rules as they go. Be sure you understand how this is working and how it plays out. The dedicated Christians and other conservatives, along with Senator Cruz and former Governor Huckabee, came out in full support of Kim Davis, okay? Now, Huckabee, the former governor of Arkansas, he said in his statement, having Kim Davis in federal custody, and keep in mind, this is federal. She's a county clerk. I don't know if you know a lot about the law here in the States. Some of you grew up here and still don't know. The United States is like a blanket law, and it's just some basic things that are in place. Then each state has its own laws. As long as they don't contradict the United States, then the United States doesn't try to make laws to control the states. That's not how it works. Then within the state, there are counties. Counties also have different laws from each other. And then within the counties are the cities. And then after that, you get into some of the neighborhood situations and rules and regs and so on. But you've got city government, county, state, and then, of course, the national or the federal government. Who's the number one in charge of the United States? You know that's the President of the United States. And along with that is the Senate and the House of Representatives. Those two bodies, plus the President, make up our government. Now, in the state, you have a governor. In the county, you have who? Who's the head of the county? Do you know? I'm going to let you think about that for a minute. Then the cities all have mayors. Okay? Now, who is in charge of the county? except one state. One state's different. Do you know? The sheriff. Sheriff. That's right, county sheriff. So be careful who you elect for sheriff, too. The one state that has a different, they don't have counties. You know which one it is? They have parishes. Louisiana, you're right. Louisiana is the one that has the parishes, and similar to the counties, but these are based on the Catholic Church. If you're in Louisiana watching right now, you should really be paying attention, because if you got, stop and think about it, if you're going to have people throwing laws around to compromise your religious beliefs, where are you going to be with your parishes? I don't think the Catholic Church is going to like it too much, somebody trying to take over from them either, but we'll see how that plays out. So anyway, Huckabee says having Kim Davis in federal custody removes all doubt of the criminalization of Christianity in our country. This is not funny and it's not a joke. Christianity is the #1 religion in this country. And if they're losing their rights, where are the minorities going to be? How about the Buddhists? How about the Hindus? How about the Muslims? How about the Jews? Jews are not the majority. All of us need to be looking at this and put our hands together, knowledge together, network together, and be sure that the people we put in power, that we give authority over us, have our best interests at heart. And our best interest starts with what we believe. All right? Okay. He continued and he said, 5 unelected. I want you to read this with me because I added some capital letters in italics, but I want you to read it. 5 unelected Supreme Court lawyers, who are called Supreme Court judges, they did not and cannot make up law. They cannot. They can only make rulings. You see that? The Supreme Court is not the supreme branch, and it is certainly not a supreme being. And I love it when he said that, because we know the only supreme being, Allah, Almighty God. There's only one God. La ilaha illallah. Kim Davis' attorneys, they filed emergency request papers on Monday to exempt her from the duty of issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples. They claimed it is a violation of her right to free speech. During an appearance on ABC's This Week, there's a program on ABC called This Week, the former Governor Huckabee was asked if Kim Davis should be forced to obey the Supreme Court's ruling on same-sex marriage. Look what he said. He cited, I think it's called Fred Scott. I don't know where we got dread out of it, but anyway, decision. It says, so I go back to my question. Is slavery the law of the land? Should it have been the law of the land because Dred Scott said so? I guess it is Dred Scott. Was that a correct decision? Should the courts have been irrevocably followed on that? Should Abraham Lincoln have been put in jail because he ignored it? Taking you back 150 years, all right? So, Kim Davis, look at this. Should she just follow the mandates from the Supreme Court judges, or quit her job, or stay in jail? It's pretty much how it plays out. Some liberals, listen to this, said it's no different than an interracial couple being denied a marriage license. Do you buy that? Do you buy that? Is it the same as, I'm asking you to think now, if there's two different races, an African American, Hispanic, Italian, Caucasian, and they want to get married, should there be a law against that? Duh. Where did you get that from? How can you compare an apple, not to a banana, not to an orange, compare an apple to a rock? How do you compare a zebra to a volcano? Excuse me, this doesn't work. No, not taking sides against anybody. What I'm saying is when people start infringing on our constitutional rights, hey, wake up. And by the way, is it just me? Or does anybody else notice it's always the women who have to stand up and speak out first? Why is that? Good news, Kim Davis was released yesterday. That's yesterday's news. But we'll take a look at that, find out where we're at with that. When we come back, we've got to take a break right now. Couple of things going to be waiting for you when you get back. Stay tuned right here and get guided on Guidance TV.
Get guided, oh, Guidance TV.
I'm Yusuf Estes for Guidance TV. Are you fed up with watching some of these commercial channels that are out there now? The information that's coming to us twisted or improper and things that we don't want our kids to watch. So that's why we have Guidance TV. And we're broadcasting all over the United States, Canada, Alaska, Hawaii, the Caribbean islands, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No commercial interruptions, no advertising, and no subscription rate. All of that to keep it free, to keep Islam out there in front of the people, Muslims and non-Muslims alike, enjoying and benefiting from these great shows and our live programs coming to us on a regular basis from great scholars in the United States, Canada, and around the world, showing us, teaching us in the English language how to deal with the problems we all face every day from the Islamic perspective. That's what I'm talking about. So we all come away with a much better understanding and a way to deal with life's problems.
Get guided.
My name is Abu Hafsa Abdul Malik Claire, and if you don't know, you should know. You're watching Guidance TV. But guess what? Guidance TV is available on your phones now. It's available on your iPhone, on your iPod, on your iPad, on your Android, all over the smartphones. It is available on your App Store or your Play Store. It is FREE free. Go there, download it, install it, play it, enjoy it, and share it. And remember, get guided with Guidance TV. Now available on your App Store, Guidance TV. Go to your App Store today, search for Guidance TV, download, and enjoy.
We are back, and we've been talking about the subject of our rights here in America. We've also been talking about some of the violations against the Constitution by the very people that have sworn to uphold that Constitution. Where are we going with that? We got an election year coming up. Is it time to clean house? I'm asking you, brothers, sisters, think about what we're up against, all of us. I don't care if you're a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew. I don't care what, if you believe there's a God and you're going to be in some kind of violation for speaking up about it? Huh? This is why my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather left England in the 1600s to come here to get away from that kind of persecution, that kind of super control, that imperialistic kind of nonsense where everybody has to, oh, bow down, there's the king. This is a government supposed to be by the people, of the people, for the people. Not a government that stands on top of and destroys the people. And we're just sitting here just watching it go. Well, what happened? And our children and their children, our great-grandchildren, will curse us in our graves if we don't stand up, speak out, let others know. We've got an election coming up. We want to support. Let's find the ones that are serious. Whether if it's Cruz or Huckabee or Jeb Bush, well, he's from Texas too. What I'm saying though, if the person is not going to stand up for the rights of the Constitution, they shouldn't even be in any kind of public office. They shouldn't be, because that's what you're supposed to be doing. That's what it's all about. If we don't have the Constitution, I'm asking you a question. What do we have? What do we have? Something to think about. And for the Muslims out here, I'm going to shake you up a little bit. I'm going to give you a little bit of a lesson here. For those of you that speak out against the United States government, I got news for you. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't. You haven't done your homework, or you wouldn't open your mouth. The same holds true for Christians who speak out against the laws of the Jewish Bible or the Quran. Whether it's the Talmud or the Torah, or if it's the Sharia, don't open your mouth until you do your homework. Because if you set these side by side, and I did that, if you want to find out about that, you can check it out on our website, Islam Code or Bible Islam, either one of those, and read for yourself. These same laws are not different because they're coming from the same God. But for the one who doesn't believe in God at all, you're welcome to stick around, but you're not welcome to run our country. That's how I look at it. You are welcome to stick around. You can get all the free goodies and social welfare and all that. That's available to anybody. But I don't want somebody standing there pledging allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under nothing, because if they don't believe in God, they're not really upholding that pledge, are they? Because it says under God, with liberty and justice for all. And as far as the way that this country is working, I got real special news for those Muslims out there that want to go out here and speak against it or organize some kind of a deal to attack America, blah, blah, blah. You don't know this because you didn't do your homework. But the same people that framed the Constitution of the United States were not just all Christian. And they didn't just use the Bible. They used Old Testament, yes. But they also worked on the Magna Carta. That's a very important document. You need to find out about that. And, are you ready? Go to the Smithsonian Institute, the museum. Go there and check out for yourself. Or go to the Library of Congress and check out for yourself and see how many of the people were signers of the Declaration of Independence and they happen to know about Islam. Don't go, oh, yes. Check out Thomas Jefferson. Find out what he was all about. Do your homework. And a number of others, too. Not everybody was all the same mind, and that's what makes this country sweet. It really does. because we're not all of the same mind, but we agree that there can be differences of opinion as long as we stick together and uphold the biggest thing, that we have the rights to speak out, the rights to believe, the rights to work together. Nobody has the right to take away somebody else's rights. That wouldn't make any sense anyway. And that's what Islam says, the same thing. Okay, let's get back to work. I want to show you, yes, Kim Davis was freed yesterday, and I was so happy for her. And look at this. She got pretty excited about it. They got her out there. She's got her hands up in the air, and she's really tickled. But I think she's kind of tickled, too, because she felt that support that comes, you know, when you're in dire straits and you really need a friend, then all of a sudden two very well-known personalities show up. The former governor of the state of Arkansas and the neighboring state right under it, Texas senator, coming to her rescue and saying, and I wanted you to see this, Mike Huckabee says, I'll go to jail in her place. That's former governor of Arkansas. If they give her a hard time, if they want to do it again, he said, I'm going to jail in her place. Look, imagine that. Huckabee, and by the way, I don't know if you know this, Ted Cruz is his rival. That's both of them standing there with her. Ted Cruz and Huckabee came together. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, these guys are definitely competitors, but still, they come together for this, to visit her. And then she was released right after that from her cell, after she was locked in jail. I think it was like 6 days or so that they had her in there. Called it contempt of court. The online Twitter for Huckabee was, I'm with Kim Liberty Rally. I'm with Kim Liberty Rally. So, yeah, that's the hashtag there, so that's Twitter, right? And they had a media moment. That's what I call it. Federal judge, now here we go. Let's talk about a federal judge. David Brunning ordered her release from jail, conditioned though. Conditioned she cannot interfere in any way with the issuance of marriage certificates to gay couples. All right, so at least she's out, and but she's not allowed to interfere with that. What she doesn't have to issue it, but somebody else can. Kim Davis sat, yeah, that's there you go, an orange jumpsuit for 6 days. And Huckabee said it leaves no doubt, again, he's saying this, about criminalization of Christianity in America. Do you remember, I think one of the scholars of Islam after 9/11, he said that our religion was hijacked by the terrorists. Do you understand that? Our religion, Islam, was hijacked by terrorists. And this is what's happening right now, political hijacking of Christianity. And all along, you got these woodpeckers out there just banging away, just tick, 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 trying to tear down the Constitution of the United States of America. And in case you didn't know it, it is one of the few places on this planet where people can believe what they want to believe, live like they want to live, say what they want to say, and do what they want to do. Is, of course, without violating other people's rights. And of course, Islam is teaching that right away. You have rights, but you have limits. And with every right, there's responsibility. And the responsibility on this presidential election is falling on you and me. Guys, we've got to do something about this. We have to. We have to. I'm going to take a little break right now and let you see something else, a little bit of fun. We're going to have a little bit of fun right now. Now, all of you know about Hajj, and some of you, you're not Muslim, but you're watching this. Hajj, or the pilgrimage, is every year, and it's only one day out of the year you have to be at a certain place. It's the 9th day of the month of Dhul Hijjah on the moon calendar. You got that? All right, now listen. when you go there, one of the things you're going to do, you go to Mecca, you go to the Haram, and when you go to the Haram, you make 7 passes around the outside of the Kaaba, that big square cube that sit there, and it's huge. It's a building, actually. And then as you're going around, you have prayers that you say, things that you do, and you're asking God, of course, to forgive us and to guide us and to help us. This is what it's all about. Now, for those who are invalid, not able to walk around, they can have somebody carry them in a litter if you want to go take them around, or they can ride in a wheelchair. And when I went the first time back in '93, they had people to get in these like litter, and then they would raise it up. You have 4 people, one on each one of those posts, and carry it up over the top of everybody and go around there. Well, they got rid of those. Now you got wheelchairs, electric wheelchairs, and so on. But now, get ready for a little bit of fun. Here we go. We got 2,200 hits after we put this up yesterday. Yes, because this man is standing on a hoverboard. It's a hoverboard, all right? You can't believe this till you see it. He took his hoverboard, he went to Mecca, all right, he's got his ihram on, but he's going to do tawaf around the Kaaba on a hoverboard. And right away, we got questions that were coming in. It said, is it haram to do that? Is it forbidden? And another one said, can he do this while he's in Hajj, in the pilgrimage? And somebody said, does it void or break his tawaf, the circling around? And then somebody else wanted to know, what about his sa'i between Safa and Marwa, the 2 mountains? Can he use that hoverboard to go there? And then, I love this one, somebody said, does he lose wudu? Okay, all right. And then somebody else said, if you're really heavy, I don't know how heavy the person is, said, if you're really heavy, could you use one for each foot? Oh, boy. Anyway, you got to go to IslamNewsroom. I'm sorry. Every time I think about this, you got to go to IslamNewsroom to see this, because you click it and it'll take you right to it. What this will do is take you to our video website, which is called Tube Islam, okay? But we don't have time to play it right now. But I'm telling you, that's where you'll see it. It takes a minute for it to load up, and then you'll be able to see it. So you go there, do that. I got to get back to work, but it was fun. That was a lot of fun. Oh, and by the way, when you do your comments from now on, let me show you something. On all of our articles now, you can comment so easy. Watch this. I'm going to put my name up here, okay? You see what I'm doing? I'm typing, all right? Now, you got to put your email here, all right? And IslamNewsroom.com. And then down here, tell your story. Now watch closely. Let me show you how to do it. Go over here on the lower right side and pull that down. There you go. You can open that right up like that. Now, you got plenty of room in here, and you can say Bismillah, Salam Alaikum, Ma Salam, yeah. And this is too funny. Funny. All right. But I'm showing you this to show you the CAPTCHA. This is the new CAPTCHA. When you roll over it, see what it does? Put your mouse over it. See that house pop up? It'll be a different picture every time. Reach over here on the left side and get that little piece of puzzle. And come over there and put it where you think it ought to go. All right, that's one. And then when you get this, it just be roughly close. It should work. Okay, and yep. All right. Yep. When you go in and out, it's ready, and you can send that. Okay, that's it. What that does, that makes sure that we don't get a lot of junk. We were getting as many as 1,000 to 2,000 per day of junk. Just people telling us about, selling this and trying to buy that or do whatever. So, okay, I want to show you how to use it. All right. But I'm sorry to tell you, we got to get back to the news. We got some more to talk about, and this one is serious. This is freedom or freedom. Freedom or freedom. It's free to be dumb. Is it the right to speech or the right to lie? Now, this is a little bit different take here. This is when somebody takes away the rights of others through deception. And that is not permissible, not in Islam, not in Christianity, not in Judaism, and not in the Constitution of the United States. You do not have the right to go and lie and deceive and cheat. There are laws against it, all right? So we want to find out about the right to speech, which is what we're all about, but at the same time, do you have the right to lie? This is why I always say, get an education in something before you open your mouth. This is a good article. It takes time to read the whole thing, but let me just remind you of something. Let's mention this one little thing before I show you the image that we got. Now we're going to have a break right after that. But do you remember Salman Rushdie's book, Satanic Verses? You remember that? All right. He was working off of what they call the right to free speech. That's what he had, that's his claim for whatever he did, that he has the right to say what he wants to say. He wrote it, and they called it freedom of speech. I'll highlight it. You can see what we're talking about. Take a look. Now, what about when a cartoonist draws offensive caricatures of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? What about that? And he says, hey, this is my right, my freedom of expression, freedom of speech. Let me share with you something. I want to tell you a story. We went to Denmark right after they did those cartoon things with the Islam channel, the Islam TV channel at that time, before there was Gaius TV. We went there along with Dr. Jamal Bedawi, Abdurrahim Green, Hussein Yi, Yvonne Ridley, a number of excellent scholars and presenters of Islam, both in the Arabic and the English language, and from the local language, the Danish language there in Denmark. We spent 8 hours presenting and showing, and we didn't charge anybody anything. We all paid to go there to do that. One imam spent over $16,000, or pounds, sorry, 16,000 pounds. He paid out of his pocket so that we would be able to go and do what we did for the rooms, for the hotel, for the whole bit. Others spent maybe even more than that. The channel itself spent a tremendous amount of money for airline tickets and all the rest of it so we could do the program. We invited these cartoonist people, we invited those people, the journalists and all. We fed them a beautiful meal. We entertained their questions. We spent so much time with them and the follow-up, and gave them materials. The next day in the newspaper, they showed, front page, a picture of me, a picture of this guy sitting right here. And you know what they did? I'll show you the face that I had. It was like this. I was like this, watch. Now that's kind of scary looking. And they said, these Muslims have come over here and putting fear into people and blah, blah, blah. Do you know how they got that picture? We didn't have anything set up for children. We had asked everybody not to bring children there, but some people did bring their kids anyway, little kids, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. Some even younger than that. So what I did, I only had to give one talk. So the rest of the time, I sat in the lobby with those children, playing with them, talking to them, telling them stories, playing games with them, entertaining them, giving them, just candies, things like that. And one of the stories I was telling about a lion or something like that, And I had somebody following me around the whole time, and I thought it was, because journalists, they like to take pictures, and some of them are really good with what they do. And this guy's just clickety, click, 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 constantly, constantly, constantly. Little did I know that what he wanted was one slip, make it look like something that it wasn't. And that's what they featured. That's not the only picture. There was 2 pictures that they put up. The other one was 3 sisters, totally covered, all in black. Only eyes showing on one, and face on another one, and nothing at all on the third. And it said, coming from these other, I think Arab countries, I can't remember the quote now because it's a long time ago, but it made it look like, oh, they're invading us. That's what it said. You know what makes me really upset? That was my wife and my 2 daughters. And all of us are from Texas. My wife, my 2 daughters. Is that freedom of speech? Is that really freedom of speech? Is this really what we're coming down to? We're turning our country into a Facebook, turning our government into YouTube. Is that really what we're after? A'udhu billah. May Allah save us from that. I seek refuge with Almighty God from this kind of mentality. But we saw it there, and I said, I can't wait to get back home to the United States because we've got responsible journalists. We have people in politics that care, that will do something. But now look at what we're seeing today. You go back 10 years ago, and you compare it to what we've got today. I'm not going to mention which networks are out there purposely twisting the information. This is the only channel, you're watching the only channel for real Islam in America in the English language. One channel, supported by me, my wife, and our friends. Muslims that we know here in this country. If it weren't for that, we wouldn't even have a voice at all. You might say, well, you got a weak voice. You're right about that. But at least it's a voice. And we don't water it down. Yeah, we have fun, we play, we have as much fun as anybody else. But when it comes to something as serious as this, hey, it's time to get serious. It's time to stand up and be counted. My grandfathers fought against the British so that they could have independence, so that we could say what we want to say, so that we didn't put any particular religion over another. There's not supposed to be any kind of favoritism like that, is it? The United States military, I worked as a volunteer chaplain with that, and also a chaplain for the prisons here. I remember one time I went to the chapel and I saw one of the sergeant there, the sergeant, forget what title he had, but he was a master sergeant. He was pulling a heavy dolly, and it had a big case on there, and there was a tree in it. And I thought, it wasn't a Christmas tree. I said, what kind of tree is that? He said, it's an evergreen tree, but it's not the type most people use for Christmas. I said, well, why you bring it in the building? It's not Christmas time. He said they had one person in the military there, San Antonio, Texas, Lackland Air Force Base. One person who is a tree worshiper. And it's his right. If he wants to come in and worship that tree, he can do it. But hey, I'm not making fun. What I'm saying is our government was backing up that one person out of millions One person out of millions has his right, and he was getting a service for what he believed. I don't want to be in a room when he does it, but I respect his right, and we all have to respect each other's rights. That's what America's about. Muslims, please, please, know more about the United States before you go out here telling people bad things or saying the wrong thing about it, because you might be surprised. You might find a little bit more here, good stuff here than you would back home. Not, I'm just saying. I'm not trying to pick on anybody's country either. I'm just saying, you got rights here. Even our foreigners come here to visit, go to school, universities, etc. You still get rights, at least for the time being. I want us to be really cautious about this and pay close attention, because if we don't, we could lose those rights. Let's take a look at this thing. It's a bit humorous, but it came up, it's talking about France, not about Judaism, by the way, before anybody gets all bent out of shape and says something that Yusuf Estes said this or that. But just so you know, it's called, what's it called? If it's against the Jews, this was in Paris, in France, and they got the artist and they took him to task for anti-Semitism. But if it's against Islam, let's talk about France. They insulted Muhammad, they called it freedom of speech. What do you call it? And by the way, the picture that he's drawing right there to make fun of, these are Orthodox Jews who happen to be some of the most dedicated of the people of the book that you will ever meet. And I know because my friend Dawood, or David, or David, as he calls himself, in New York, has come to our help and support for Guidance TV before we ever had it. In fact, he sat with me. If you know this man, he's the rabbi there in New York who's always talking about the difference between Judaism and Zionism. He said it's two different ideas, then they don't mix. That's what he says. I'm just telling you. We were sitting together at the Peace Conference for the Islam Channel in London, eating, sitting on my right. And we were talking about all the Christian television channels and what things that they're doing and so on. He said, how many channels do you guys have for Islam in America? That was 6 years ago. 7. I said, none. He said, urgency, urgency. I said, huh? He said, you have to do it. Well, I was trying to make up my mind at that time if I was going to be the one or try to look for somebody else. Well, it fell to me, and that's what happened. And he helped us on that first day. He came out and brought his friends, all the rest of it. Alhamdulillah that we have this voice. Alhamdulillah. Keep watching and get guided with Guidance TV.